Howdy folks, this is Big Sam. As many of y'all know, I've spent a lot of time in my life looking at Mosins. There's one thing that's always kind of puzzled me. A lot of Mosins I'll take a look at, like this French contract Chateauroux produced in 1894 M91 rifle, have this weird little hole here on the bottom of the stock. And I always wondered why. Let's take a closer look at this. Alright, so here's what we're talking about today. Here's the bottom of the stock. We're talking about this little hole right there. See that? Right there. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Right there. It seems like a lot of guns I look at, in particular, Finnish Mosins, will have this really weird hole in the bottom of the stock. And I always looked at that and I thought, that's kind of interesting. But I wasn't sure what it was for until I did the filming with this gun in the snow the other day. And I finally realized what this was for. So on the other side of the inside of the stock, right above this, there's a little nut that has a threaded hole in it. It's a metal nut. And that's there because the cleaning rod, as you can see it sits down in here, is going to go all the way down here and thread into that nut. Okay? Now that's all fine and good, but what I realized was, if you're out in the snow, you're going to get a lot of snow built and packed up in here. And just all up through here. There's a whole lot of areas where it can get packed in. Now, imagine you're a Finnish soldier in the winter of 1939, and you're out fighting, as you would be, and you decide to come back to camp one night, and let's say you stack your Mosin with a bunch of other Mosins next to a fire. Well, what's going to happen is, this is all the snow packed in here is going to start melting. And as it melts, all the water is going to drain down into the stock here, and it's just going to sit in here. And that's probably been a huge problem, really, since they changed this cleaning rod design in 1896. You see, originally, the cleaning rods for these M91 rifles were only like 15 inches long. And they would only go to like right around here. Okay. Now eventually, after 1890, or during 1896, they decided to change that, lengthen the entire cleaning rod, and move it down here. Well, in doing that, you get this whole area down in the stock where water can collect. That can be a little bit of a problem, as you could imagine. So what would end up happening is water is going to sit down here. It can rot out the wood, or it can also start rusting out the cleaning rod. And you've probably seen a lot of Mosins where there'll be a lot of rust on the cleaning rod, especially down here on the bottom end, and maybe on the actual threads as well. So here's what it seems like Finland did to try to solve this problem. So we have this hole here. What they did was they would drill a hole all the way through the bottom of the stock here, all the way through where the cleaning nut is. So if I had this stock off, theoretically I should be able to see light through this hole. And the idea there is that if that the snow melts and water starts collecting here, now you have a drainage point where that water can evacuate the stock, and you don't have to worry about water collecting and starting to rust out or rot out the wood and all sorts of horrible things. So this was actually a really interesting idea. And I don't see this on any other types of Mosins, just Finnish Mosins. And I've seen this on all sorts of types of Finnish Mosins, okay? So here today we're looking at an M91 rifle, if I can get my camera to zoom, there you go. All right, so we have our M91 rifle, but I've also seen this hole on M39 rifles, M27 rifles, you name it. This seems to be a very common Finnish modification. So if you've got a Mosin check out your stock and see if you got a little hole here on the bottom just in front of the magazine. Because if you do, that's a very good indication that your rifle was actually used in Finland. Now, if it doesn't have that, that could just mean Finland, and if it is a Finnish Mosin, it could just mean Finland didn't drill it. I have seen Finnish Mosins that don't have that, but I haven't seen any non-Finnish Mosins that do have that hole. Really weird, but it's an interesting modification. And again, I always looked at that and I wondered, well, what does that hole do? Was it threaded? Did they have something in there that they decided to remove later? I wasn't really sure, but now, after I got some snow and water on the rifle, it finally starts to make sense. Finland had to adapt and overcome with what they had, and here's another prime example demonstrating how they certainly did. So pretty cool, guys. It's always neat when we get to look at weird Mosin features, like a little hole that we never even noticed before. So that's cool. So I hope y'all enjoyed taking a look at a cool Mosin, as always. Let me know if y'all have any prayer requests, and we'll see you next time.